Hey guys, how's it going? I've got a fun little video for y'all today. What I have here is a Mattel Matchbox 50th Anniversary Superfast Blue Shark. This is in Matchbox's premium line, although it does not have rubber tires or opening parts, but what it does have is it's a vintage casting that has been reissued. Now, this car has been reissued many times since it first came out in the 70s, but this is the most recent one, and it's the one I have that we can take a look at. So what I want to do today is, first off, I want to take a look at this car and see how it compares to an original Blue Shark. This is a Lesney Matchbox Superfast Blue Shark from the 70s, and it's in moderately good condition. The paint's a little worn here and there, but this will be a good benchmark for us to compare the new one to. So we'll see how well they did recreating this car, this past year. Also, I thought it would be interesting to find out if parts on this car can be used to help restore cars like this. This car is missing its engine, and the little guy in here is all scratched up, and the wheels, they're a little how you doing. So I also want to take this apart and see how the parts and pieces in this car fit, if they fit in this car. So we got a lot here to cover, so let's go ahead and get started. We're going to unbox this guy and get a close look at him. Okay, let's get going. Okay, let's go ahead and pull this out of the blister and get a close look at it. And it comes in nice piece of plastic here, and it does not look like the plastic fits in the box. Yeah, that's a shame. I wish they did this. It's really close. There's no reason why they couldn't have made this plastic piece fit in the box, but whatever. And of course the box that comes with these is a throwback to how the cars used to be packaged, hence the name Matchbox cars. And here's the car itself. One thing you noticed immediately is the casting is quite heavy. Metal body, metal base. It has plastic wheels, and they're throwback wheels, very similar to the Superfast wheels. Construction looks to be identical. The paint, so the paint isn't the same on these two cars. What we have here is sort of a rich deep blue with a really striking metal flake that's in there, and it looks great. Now the old car, it's also a rich deep blue, but I don't see any metal flake in this paint whatsoever. And they're both nice. The paint on both these cars is good in its own way. Rolls pretty well. I actually think the older car probably rolls better. This just feels like it has a little bit more drag. It's a well-built car. Like I said before, it doesn't have any opening parts or special features, but it is a very nice, well done casting. You have tampos on 4 sides, so you have 50th Superfast logo on the sides. You have the same logo as the original car on the top, only it's a tampo now and not a sticker. The old car, that's a sticker. 50th on the other side, and then you have a little bit of decoration on the back as well. Front doesn't really have anything. Great looking car, and if you look at the two side by side, they look identical. The castings themselves look identical, but they're not. There are a couple differences you can just see. The most obvious to me is the motor. The motor on the old Blue Shark is a 2-piece affair, with the headers being this soft black plastic and the motor being a harder chromed plastic. The newer car is just a 1-piece deal here, with the headers and the motor being cast together. Another difference, The older car has a single post that's mushroomed, and then it has a little tab that slots into the back, if you see that. The new car is more typical with modern cars and how they're put together. You have two posts that go through the base and that are mushroomed. To be honest with you, I like this better, both as a modder, but it also makes the back of the car cleaner. So you can see this car has this obvious slot that's in the back. So it's not original, but I don't mind that change. Otherwise, just from looking at the cars, they look so much the same. Hey guys, I just wanted to cut in here and mention another difference in this casting I noticed after I filmed this section. The stance of the newer car is a little bit lower than the old car, and the importance of this is going to come up later in the video, but I think this has to do with the newer car not having suspension and the older car does. Whenever you put suspension in these little cars, you have to kind of jack the car up a little bit to give that suspension a little bit of room to travel. Well, since the newer car doesn't have suspension, they didn't need to do that, and they chose to improve the stance. At least in my opinion, I like the stance better on the newer car. So that's something to keep in mind, that it's just another difference that I noticed. And also, looking at the castings really closely, there's a few other little changes, I would call tweaks in the casting, but for the most part these cars are very similar. I've looked at quite a few Matchbox throwback cars, and this one is probably the most true to the original than any of the others that I've seen, at least that I've seen so far. Okay, let me go back to your regularly scheduled program. And, like I said, this car has been in production off and on ever since this one came out. So multiple reissues of this car. I doubt it's the same tool. I guess it's possible, but if they've recreated the tool, they've done it in a way that has pretty much kept the original shape. Okay. So I think the next step is I need to pull these apart, because I want to find out if the parts from this car will fit in this car, or how much adjustment to them it'll take. You can just look at them and the size looks to be pretty close. And like I said before, the motors are different, but having this as a replacement motor is better than having no replacement motor. And you can paint the headers here to match the black. They'll never be identical, but it's better than nothing, and it would look good. It would look good. Hopefully this will switch out and I'll be able to restore this car. That's the plan. Okay, so I got these taken apart, and let's take a look and see what we got here. There's a little guy. So this car does have suspension, but it's not the kind of suspension that a lot of Hot Wheels cars had, where the actual axle is captured in this little plastic piece. This actually just comes out. It's very similar to the Black Magic I did a long time ago. So wheels do come out quite easily. This is riveted in. So that is the old one. Let's put that over here. And here is the new one. So there's a little guy, the glass, the little guy looks very similar. He might, this might be able to transfer pretty easily. You might have to do a little bit of filing, but he looks pretty much the same. The glass, on the other hand, is a little different, but it's the same shape. Like the part you see that comes out of the car is the same. It just depends on whether or not this would fit in there. But of course, again, you could shave it down. And here's the body. There's no suspension, but the wheels look like they'll work just fine. And finally, the motor. So in removing the motor, I did break that tab, which could be glued back, but whatever. And it looks like, to me, it'll fit just fine. So let me just take that off all the way. Let me clip that guy. There we go. That looks pretty good if you ask me. It fits right in there. Even the little bell housing snugs into this little spot right there. I think that's going to look good. The windshield, so the old windshield snugs between the body and these little pins, and it sits in front of this other pin right here. The new one, you will have to file it just a little bit. It doesn't want to fit. It doesn't want to fit between these pins right here. It's just a little thicker. Let's see if the driver will fit in there. You will be able to get him in here, and he looks really good. But you're going to have to file down. You have to file this down a little bit. Let's see what I can do. Look at that. Snapped him in. Just a tiniest bit of filing, and he fits perfectly. The wheels, let's see what we can do with the wheels. The old wheels do look to be a little wider. I mean, I could be wrong. They just seem bigger. Let's yeah. Let's see what they look like on the old car. But that is an issue. Alright, so here is the new wheels on the old car, and if you ask me, it's just not, that's not an acceptable replacement. They're just too small. And that's a shame, because that's one of the big draws of this particular casting, is that for $5 you can get some brand new Matchbox first party wheels, but they're not the same size. I also wanted to check the wheel size versus a different Lesney Superfast wheel. This is a wheel set from, I believe it's from this car right here. So this is a Mazda RX 500, early Lesney Superfast car. I used this to test as a test car many moons ago, and these are the wheels that came off of it. And if you'll notice, these wheels are smaller than this. This is the old wheel on the Blue Shark, and this is the new wheels. And look at that. So it looks to me like there were multiple sizes of these vintage wheels. But anyway, at least these wheels are going to be good for some old Lesney castings, just not for this particular one. But on the other hand, if your wheels are okay, and like these are going to be fine, it looks like all the other parts can translate just fine into this car. So the windshield, I'm sure I can get this windshield to fit this car. The little guy fits perfectly and looks perfect. If anything, he's too perfect because the older little molding isn't as detailed as the newer one. And the engine, while it's not a two-piece engine, it is just a one-piece. It does fit in there perfectly. So personally, I would say that these new cars are a reasonable source of parts for these old cars. They're not perfect. The tires are just not going to work. Look at the gap, is just ridiculous. But everything else seems to be fine. This car has been in my queue for a while, and now I kind of have a plan of action as far as how I'm going to restore it. So I'm going to get going on that soon, and hopefully, you've learned something also. Maybe you're wanting to restore one of these cars or another Lesney car that could use these smaller factory wheels.
And that is also going to do it for the 2019 Mattel Matchbox 50th Anniversary Superfast Blue Shark. Gotta tell you, I'm pretty impressed with this casting. It's not a one-for-one recreation of the original, but I think given the constraints that the designers have, they did a pretty damn good job. So, well, guys, thanks for watching, and you know what? I'll catch you next time. All right, y'all take care.